What's up, everyone? I'm Matt with Ozark Overland Adventures, and I'm currently at Expo Mountain West in Loveland, Colorado. It's Sunday morning. The crowds have not yet arrived. It is a gorgeous day today, as you see me squinting from the sun. But being here all weekend, got to thinking, you know, there's so much stuff at these expos, and this is not an expo video, so the expo is not the subject of this video. But it got me thinking, you know, these expos get, you know, kind of a bad rap, kind of deserved, of just, you know, pimping all the latest, most expensive stuff in this overland world. The rigs are, most of them are over the top. The stuff that you know, many of these vendors are promoting, I mean, frankly, you don't need to start this overlanding thing. And so that's what I want to talk about in this video, is what do you really need to start overlanding? Because the popularity of this stuff is not going away. So if you're just getting started in this, or if you've been in this for a little bit and it's still trying to figure out, you know, gear choices and stuff like that, I want to talk about what do you really need to start this. So, I mean, this overlanding thing, it's essentially off-road car camping. I mean, it is. So, as with anything, I think there's four key needs to get started in this overlanding. You got the life's three basics: food, shelter, water. You got to cover those three things, and then number four, you got to have a vehicle to get you there. So let's start with the vehicle. Yeah, I drive a Gladiator. I've got it built up on 3.5-inch lift, 38-inch tires, and it's specifically designed for my style of off-roading. You know, your style may not be my style, and that's perfectly fine. Even my wife and I have slight differences on our styles of off-roading. So, you know, I think the type of off-roading that you love to do, that's going to be the key, and you may not know what that is yet. So my recommendation is start very simple. Don't go out and buy a Jeep or a 4Runner, or, you know, a Tundra or a Raptor, and immediately build it up and, you know, dump a bunch of money into that. And that may be overkill. It may not be your thing. So my recommendation with the vehicle is start simple. You know, depending on your style, you could do this in a I got a buddy here in a Volkswagen, very coolly built Volkswagen, I might add. But still, I mean, it's a Volkswagen. You know, there's Subarus, there's classic Land Rover Defenders here, classic FJ40s, crap ton of Jeeps, obviously, crap ton of Toyota 4Runners and Tacomas, a lot of full-size trucks. A lot of Sprinter vans. Sprinter van, man, that's a cool way to do it. If you're not into the super technical stuff and you want to get, you know, off the grid but not get too technical and have the creature comforts of home, a Sprinter van is a cool way to do it. Start simple. If you've already got, I do think you need 4-wheel drive, right? Because even if you're just cruising dirt roads, if, you know, just graded Forest Service roads, if the weather turns bad, those can turn into sloppy, muddy messes. And I think 4-wheel drive is a must. I know some people that are doing it in 2-wheel drives. They, you know, 2-wheel drive, they have a rear locker, but that's not ideal. So I do think 4-wheel drive is, or all-wheel drive. It could be all-wheel drive, like, you know, a Toyota RAV4, all-wheel drive type of thing. So, but start simple, and as you go out and explore and your vehicle isn't doing what you need it to do, and you need to make modifications to get to maybe places that you couldn't get before, that's when you start modifying your vehicle to build it up to suit your needs. You know, we see, it's kind of a joke in the Jeep world. You see people who build up their Jeeps to ridiculous levels, 37-inch tires, big lifts, you know, all this stuff, and they barely get off a Forest Service road. So, I mean, you know, if you got the money and that's your thing, go for it, because they look real cool. But you know, being practical, do it as you go. Just and start simple, and start with what you have. You know, if you own a minivan, and you can pack up some camping gear in that and head to, you know, a local recreation area, Forest Service road campground that's easy to get to. Just start with what you got. All right, we got Kevin with Lifestyle Overland here. Kevin, what do you think people need, like really need, to get started overlanding?
Really need good four-wheel drive vehicle, good tires, a sense of adventure, and get out there. Everything else will self-identify what you need to upgrade next.
Let's talk about the shelter part of getting started in this overlanding thing, because I think that's maybe one of the most controversial things. I mean, rooftop tents are everywhere. I'm currently in the camping area of the show, so this is not the vendor area. This isn't the big massive, you know, overbuilt show rigs. This is, you know, this is where the real people are out doing it, came here to attend. And the one thing you see is the variety. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You know, if you're just getting started and you've got some, you know, camping gear laying around, you got a ground tent laying around that maybe you got from Walmart or Academy or whatever, use that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, there's no need to go out and spend $2-3 grand on a rooftop tent, and you don't even know if you like, you know, being out in, you know, this remote travel thing that we call overlanding. So if you got a ground tent, or start with a ground tent, you know, maybe get a nice one. Spend, here's one right here. Spend, you know, $200-300 on a Gazelle. They set up super fast. They're very well constructed. Lots of room in there. They do take up a lot of space when they're folded down. They don't fold down small. That's my biggest gripe with the Gazelle tents. They do not pack down small. But you know, start there. See if you like it, and if you do, and then you're thinking, you know, it really takes me too long to set up camp. I don't like getting to camp and then having to take 30 minutes to set up and get all my stuff into the tent. If that's the case, look at a rooftop tent, because they everything has their pros and cons. Everything does. So rooftop tent's going to get you higher up off the ground. You don't have to find level space. You can level your vehicle. It's faster to set up than a ground tent, and you know, as far as also including getting all your stuff, because most rooftop tents you can keep all your bedding and everything up in there, your pillows and all that stuff. So you open the tent and pretty much boom, you're done. The tent that I'm using, the iCamper BDV, I can literally get to camp, and in 60 seconds I can crawl in my tent and go to sleep. It is just that fast. But I mean, that's you know, $3,000 tent. My recommendation on a rooftop tent is, if you're going to go that route, the hard shells are so much better than the soft shells. The ease of setup, the lack of frustration in the setup is it's a thing. We've owned a soft shell tent in the past. A company couldn't pay me to go back to a soft shell rooftop tent. They're just a pain in the butt. So I mean, check out this guy. He is in a, I don't even know what kind of car he's in. Oh, that's a Prius. He's in a Prius with a rooftop tent and an awning and some storage out the back. Now he's not, no, I'm sorry, he's in a RAV4. A RAV4 rooftop tent. I bet he has the time of his life. So, you know, there's all kinds of options. You got camper toppers for trucks. You've got things like Alu-cabs and Super Pacifics for camper toppers. You got trailers. Man, So many trailers at this expo. That is, Kara just got a new trailer with Off Track Phoenix. Absolutely loves it. It is a beast of a trailer off-road, but that fits her style. So you don't, the Sprinter van that I mentioned, that's an all-in-one solution. You got your vehicle and your sleeping. It's done. It's all together. You got, if you really got the funds, you can always go with an earth roamer or a global expedition vehicle, because those things are crazy awesome. You got this guy's got a van and he's pulling a trailer and just having the best of it. There's a guy here with a 4Runner and a ground tent, not an expensive ground tent, just an LL Bean. So as far as as far as the shelter goes, use what you got starting out. Figure out your needs, figuring out your likes and dislikes as you go. Don't go dump a bunch of money into a expensive rooftop tent or trailer, and if you don't know, if that meets your needs. So, and don't go dump a bunch of money into an earth roamer either. All right, so we've covered your vehicle and we've covered your shelter. So let's talk about food. Food can honestly be anything you want. It doesn't have to be fancy hot dogs over the campfire, mountain house meals. If you want to pack light and simple and just boil some water, or you can get as fancy as you want to and cook steaks on a scuttle, fried rice. We've done that before. Hibachi. My favorite thing is a nice ribeye or fillet cooked on a cast iron skillet at camp. I don't know, there's just something, I can cook that exact same thing at home and it's just not as good as cooking that at camp.
All right.
So, the food can be as fancy or as minimalistic as you want, and there's nothing wrong with either way. There's some really expensive cooking devices. Hey, good morning. There's some really expensive cooking devices for the overlanding camping thing. From scottles are great. I personally don't use one, but scottles, I've got friends who absolutely will not go to camp without a scottle, and that's fine. Just all kinds of bush crafting style things, if you're into that. There's just something about cooking at camp, and maybe by a stream or with an amazing view. Even a basic hot dog tastes better in that environment. So cooking can be whatever. I recommend just go get a simple camp stove from Walmart. $30 will take care of you. You can cook anything. You don't have to go spend hundreds of dollars on a fancy cooking thing for camp. We run I have the Jetboil Genesis, which is an expensive stove, but for as much cooking as we do, I love it because the flame control is very precise. It packs up really small. It fits in my drawer system. So that's there's reasonings and there's justification for the higher end stuff. But if you're just starting out, just go get a Walmart camp stove. Go to Academy, go to Dick's Sporting Goods, order a basic camp stove off Amazon that uses the 1 pound propane bottles. So you don't have to start with the crazy expensive gear. And I recommend you don't start with the crazy expensive gear. Make it a simple, and you just kind of build as you go and as your needs, evolve. I ran into Peter and Carol Van Stralen here with Epic Family Road Trip, and what do y'all suggest for people just starting out? What do you think people really need to start overlanding?
Yeah, I mean, we always just had 2 words. We said, just go. Whatever you have, that's how we started. And then our first camp trip was in my little Audi, kids in the back seat. We threw a camp stove, whatever we had in the garage, and we went and had a blast. And then we grew from there. But even now, our most recent trips, Carol and I went up to the Arctic with our Jeep, and we had taken out the slide out fridge and stove. You know, we took out all the accessories and even a fridge, right? And part of it was to prove that you don't need to have $25,000 worth of equipment in your vehicle, still go on an epic trip.
That's awesome.
Driving up to the Arctic was amazing. You will have a few inconveniences. I mean, fridges are awesome. They hold food for 2 weeks without any problem. Coolers don't. You got to stop and get ice, but it's possible. We did it.
But I do think if you do get into it, a good toilet system that you can keep all of your stuff tucked away and out of the way so that no one else gets into it or no one else's pets get into it, that would be really great. And purified water. If you have something that can get your water purified, then I think you're pretty good to go. And a good cooler if you can't get that fridge. But I think that with a good set of matches and a little bit of firewood, you're set.
Food, shelter, water. Just think of what you need out there to keep yourself comfortable and healthy and alive.
And a garbage bag, so you can take everything out.
Pack it in, pack it out.
That's awesome.
And then you know what? You're going to start getting more complex as you go. You're going to start think about going somewhere really remote. You're going to want to have some kind of communication device. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about getting started. Too many people wait until they can afford it, and then they watch their life pass by. So you have some kind of vehicle. You can do it.
Just go.
Go.
Thin one though. All right, we've covered vehicle, food, shelter, and finally let's talk water. You know, what you gotta have plenty of water. And how much water you take with you is gonna depend on how long you're gonna be out, how often you'll have access to replenish that water. I actually did a video not too long ago on useless overlanding gear and discussed the fact that most people carry too much water. Too much water equals too much weight. And you know, I would definitely say better safe than sorry. One of the odd things missing from expos like this is a lot of different water storage solutions. There are a lot of companies here that are, you know, promoting water filtering, which if you're going to be out off grid for extended periods of time, you know, some water filter solution is going to be a good idea. They can be as complex as, you know, 12-volt powered water purification systems to just a little, you know, mug style filtration system like the Grails. We actually picked up a couple Grails at Expo Mt and used it on my last Colorado trip. And I would stop at mountain streams as I was driving by them and tip it in there, filter the water real quick, and that was the most delicious water I've ever had. So, I mean, you can go, you know, mild to wild with even water. So, definitely carry enough water for your needs, but don't carry so much that you got excess water when you get home, because that's just too much weight in your vehicle. And you know, just the simple blue Reliance water jugs. I think they're like 5 gallons, 7 gallons, something like that. Super simple to use and great for just storing water. But I mean, they make huge water tanks that you mount in the back of your vehicle or in the bed of your truck or underneath your vehicle if you want to build it out for real long-term remote travel. You know, so, but just like everything else, start simple, start with what you need to get going. Don't start out doing all this fancy stuff. If you're not going to be spending, you know, a week or two out in remote areas, don't waste your money on water filtration, except for maybe like the little Grail or a life straw type of thing. But don't waste a lot of money to get started. If you get started and you discover that you're enjoying going out for longer periods of time, then look into, you know, larger water systems, better water filtration systems, that sort of thing. So don't think you got to start with all the fancy stuff. So after food, shelter, and water is covered, everything from there is luxury. So at that point, you're figuring out, you know, what else you need to, you know, to meet your level of desired comfort. And to be able to thrive and not just survive. Okay, so food, shelter, water, vehicle. You've got those covered. You've got the basics covered. You've been going out and having a blast, and you want to start upgrading your setup. Then what? Well, I think the biggest game changer, even if you're just going out for long weekends, is a 12-volt fridge. That is not having to deal with ice, dealing with soggy food. From there, look at, do you need to modify your rig for the type of travel that you're enjoying? Do you need to upgrade your sleeping situation? Maybe you've been sleeping on just a ground tent and a sleeping pad, and you want to look at a rooftop tent with a better mattress for better night's sleep. Or, maybe you have a larger SUV. You want to build out the inside of it. Be able to sleep in there in the comfort of the SUV, protected from the weather and, all the elements and stuff. There's so many ways to do this. Maybe you've discovered that you are like my wife and you want to, you like going out and wheeling and running hardcore trails, but you want to have a nice base camp when you get back to go to. So at that point, an off-road trailer is an excellent option for that style of adventure travel. So there's just so many options out there. And I know we as YouTubers, me and my friends that do this, we kind of get ragged on that. The rigs that we drive, the stuff that we use is not realistic. It's not what it's not what most people should are using, and that's absolutely 100% true, because we are using our rigs probably more than anybody except for people who travel full-time. I mean, we are out camping, we're out off the grid, we're out in remote destinations, out off-road, and that's what we do. And so my Gladiator is purpose-built to do what we do and do it comfortably. I say all the time, this overlanding thing, the way I like to do it, I'm going out to thrive. I'm not going out to play some self-inflicted version of Survivor. I don't have to go sleep cold and shivering in the rain to prove something to anybody. I don't have to go out and forage for grubs and start a fire with sticks, and I don't have to do that. I go out to thrive. So I go out to see amazing places and just enjoy the crap out of life while I'm there. So if you're a minimalist and you want to go forage for grubs and sleep on the ground with your rock as a pillow, absolutely do that if that's what you like to do. And if you want a big cushy RV with a king-size bed with a plush pillow top mattress and heat and air and a washer dryer in there, absolutely go do it if you've got the means. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. This overlanding thing is an amazing way to see just incredible places. So many places that people don't get to anymore because they don't venture off the pavement. And that's what it's all about. So if you would, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not. Check. If you think you're subscribed, do me a favor and go check. Because I've had a lot of people tell me that they were subscribed and somehow they became unsubscribed. So do me a favor, check that. Click the box, click the bell notification so you get notified when the next videos get uploaded. And if you like what we're doing and you want to support the channel, gain access to special content, special events, all of our GPS data, check out the Patreon link in the description and consider supporting us that way. And for Ozark Overland Adventures merchandise, go to shopoverlandapparel.com. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of this day. Bye.